Once you've started your script by adding the transcripts of all of your edited sound bites, it's time to go ahead and write what's called the reporter track. This is what you'll be saying as the reporter to tell your story. In this example, the story's about education changes since the pandemic started. I've already changed the name of the reporter to Jim. That's supposed to be the student who's writing this script. Here's how I plan to open the story. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, James Logan High School classes started the transition to distance learning on March 16, 2020. Now, I'm going to go in and just make sure that I correct the spelling here, make sure these are capitalized. So with that, I think it will lead into what the sound bites are. As you can see, my classes no longer meet every day. I rely more on email. I do not have access to any other computers, so I use my Chromebook, etc. So the idea is to have something that will set up your story, get people's interest, and to learn more about it. So here I've established that the classes started transitioning to distance learning. And then I have sound bites that talk about how some of the students and also a teacher adjusted to that fact. Next, I'm going from one sound bite to a different group of sound bites where the subject might change a little bit. So next, they're talking about right now I always have to meet with my teacher, had internet troubles. So they're talking about some of the issues that they've dealt with. So here's something that I might use as a transition going from one group of sound bites to the next. Distance learning required adjustments for both students and teachers. So it adds a little bit to the story, kind of ties my quotes together, which are the sound bites. So right now, talking about not always meet with the teacher, had internet trouble, different living experiences, and also it's strange not seeing all the other students. All right, so those are some of the adjustments that students and teachers had to make. Let's see what the next group is. To be honest, it hasn't been going well. So here are some of the problems that people have found by doing that. So here's what I could say to tie that together. Not meeting in Logan classrooms caused problems. Otto's saying, to be honest, it hasn't been going well. I'm missing my classmates. Now students can only work on individual assignments. All right, so I need another bridge between what the bulk of my story is being said by the sound bites, but I need something to kind of tie them together. So this is what I've written. Completing the assignments given during distance learning has been a challenge. So that goes from I miss them working in teams to complete projects to I've been having trouble focusing and getting the assignments done. That was my last group of sound bites. So now I need to end the story with a conclusion. I chose to put down whatever their experience has been with distance learning, most students and teachers agree that they look forward to moving education back into regular classrooms. From James Logan High School in Union City, California, this is Jim Shoes reporting for Logan TV. Now, this last sentence is what you'll be ending with. Of course, you'll be saying your name instead of Jim Shoes. But this is the reporter sign-off. And so that's how you're going to be recording to end the story with. If you're going to be incorporating some research, let's take a look at where that might go. Let's say you had some research like this. According to an NBC News survey, 30% of students throughout the country are failing distance learning classes. And then I'd go on to say completing the assignments given during distance learning has been a challenge. And maybe since I've already said distance learning, I would just say completing assignments has been a challenge. Now, whatever research you incorporate, make sure you mention the attribution. So instead of just saying 30% of students throughout the country are failing distance learning classes, you want to make sure you give us the source. Now, this is not a real statistic. This is just something I'm using as an example. Just make sure that as you incorporate some of your research to help tell your story, that you give attribution to your source. Once you've completed writing the entire reporter track, you need to go back in and fill in the video column with descriptions of what we'll be seeing. Here, I would start the story with some video of the exterior of the Logan campus. Notice I've typed the video description in all caps. Next, I need to identify who is speaking, since these are my sound bites. And the first time we see somebody, we would have their name on the screen to identify them. Here we have Autograph, class of 2021. Here's Anita Job, class of 2020. Sue Render. Now, I just want to make sure if I was using the same font size on both, I could have these line up. But let me go ahead and add a space because I want to make sure that the video description lines up horizontally with what we see on the right. When we actually build the story, there'll be a graphic that comes up the first time we see these people. But for now, we just want to make sure we identify each of the speakers and give a description of what video we plan to use. So here, I'd probably want to show a student using their Chromebook at home. Once again, I'll identify each of the speakers because we'd be seeing them as they give their soundbite. Here at Indicate, we'd see a screenshot from a Google Classroom. Once again, the sound bites are described with the names of the people. Here I might create a graphic that says 30% of students are failing. Of course, I'd have something that mentions the NBC News survey, and then I would switch to a sample assignment. Again, for the sound bites, I'll have their names opposite what they're saying. And then for my conclusion, I'll start with some clips from a Zoom meeting, but then when I get to the closing sign-off, that's when I'll actually see the reporter. So you'll be on camera when you say this last part. The rest of what you say will be a voiceover. You'll need to indicate a graphic that says what year you're planning on graduating. So once you've finished adding the reporter track to the script you started, and you've gone ahead and indicated all of the video, go ahead and submit it for approval by the teacher.